All right, guys, we are live right at midnight. We timed it that way. Honestly, though, we prefer to come get live a little earlier than we did. Bad traffic. I know a lot of you probably hit it if you were at the game. Some wrecks and so forth. But anyways, let's get to cracking here. 72 to 10 is the final. LSU takes care of Grambling State offensively. LSU did everything that you would expect them to do. But defensively, it is absolutely a scary proposition. It looks like a mess. I think defensive line, linebackers, I don't think any position is safe from scrutiny. Got to see a lot of players play on both sides of the ball. Just about everybody who dressed out, it seems like, got to play. I think most people walked away from the night saying we need to see more of Caleb Jackson, like to see more of Logan Diggs. Got to see two freshman tight ends catch their first passes. Garrett Nussmeier got work. Ricky Collins got work. Offensive line had their way on the evening. But defensively, look, when you win 72 to 10, the casual observer who's just thrown through scores across the country who didn't pay attention to it really didn't see the way that Grambling was doing what they wanted to do and gashing LSU's defensive front early in the football game, and that should not be happening. And look, everybody's picking on defensive backs, but I think you can pick on some defensive linemen. I think you can pick both interior and your outside guys and linebackers, trying to find out the right solution for where to line up Harold Perkins. And we saw the Weeks brothers out there and on and on. They better get it fixed in a hurry, because you got an 11 a.m. SEC game at Mississippi State next Saturday, and you're going to need to be ready to play. And a lot of storylines also in college football tonight. We could talk about some of that. Alabama. I know it was Ole Miss in 2015, late September, the last September loss for Nick Saban. But I'd like to know, when was the last time he lost either a week 1 or a week 2 football game? It's been forever. And between that and NIL, is this starting to see you can start to chart out where Saban might say, you know what, I'm ready to take it to the house. So,
oh man, you're gonna get these fans a little too excited for a Grambling State win. Come on, man. Yeah. By the way, the last time
Preston.
Nick Saban lost by double digits at home, can you name that loss? The answer is yes, you can. I know you can.
Was it 2019 LSU?
No, indeed.
Because that was closer than double digits.
46-41. Check this out. 2003, 19-7, Chris Leak in Florida came into Tiger Stadium and beat the eventual national champions. So that's the last time. That was over 7,000 days ago that Nick Saban lost a home game by double digits. Truly incredible. So my thoughts on the game tonight, guys. Anytime you play a lower in-state FCS school like a Grambling, it's a lose-lose proposition. You know, if you take care of business and do things the way you're supposed to, well, you're supposed to. They're an FCS school. There's nothing you can do to impress people against them. If you show any signs of weakness, people are disgusted because, well, it's an FCS school. They shouldn't be enforcing their will on you in any way, shape, or form. And we saw that play out tonight. The offense scores on their first 10 drives. Jaden Daniels looked good, although he left some throws on the table. Brian Kelly talked about that. I agreed with him that he was about as good as you can reasonably expect, but with missing some opportunities. Nussmeier came in. He went 4 for 6, but every single throw was a good throw. He, of course, threw 2 touchdowns that should have been touchdowns to freshman wide receiver Shelton Sampson. Of course, he couldn't handle either of them. 2 drops. He'll develop in time, but right now he's got some work to do. But great game for both the quarterbacks. Defensively, though, your first 3 drives, you give up 227 yards. Now, you tightened it up. You gave up 93 yards the rest of the way. I credit that a little bit to Grambling. Just their wills were broken out there, because they had 3 drives go to the red zone. Then the next 2, you only get 3 points on 2 drives. And then to follow that up, LSU's just a juggernaut on offense. Then all of a sudden you're looking up and you're down 28-10. and reality sets in that this game's out of your hands. And I think they lost that fire they were playing with early on. But that being said, between those 3 drives and giving up 45 points to Florida State, there's some questions about this defense. There is some questions about the defense. And I think the good news for this Tiger team really lies more so outside of the team itself, but rather the teams on its schedule. There's no juggernaut on the schedule. Bama, I think this is the worst Bama team we've seen in a while. I was saying on paper they look like a 9-3 team, but until I see them not be a good team, I'm not believing it. Well, we saw them not play well tonight. Jalen Milroe, not a very good quarterback tonight.
Well,
He had a handful of throws, but not too great. So 11-1 is on the table. Every team is beatable on your schedule the rest of the way.
I'm trying to think who's sick. Certainly Alabama fans are sick. But I think Aggie fans are really sick. They lose to Miami, and their most hated team, who's coming into the league next year, gets a win in Tuscaloosa. And so, that's one of the things that A&M's been wanting to say is you're not ready for the SEC and on and on. And then Sark goes into Tuscaloosa and beats Saban. And really, I mean, we had our eye on it. Preston had it on his laptop, and we were keeping an eye on that while we were watching the LSU.
You talking about the Bama game?
Yeah, and
he was more excited. He was more excited to see Texas A&M lose than Bama.
Well, I will say this: I was pulling for every SEC team to lose tonight, except for Alabama. And like people say, "Are you kidding me?" Guys, you might not like Alabama, but wait till you get a steady diet of these Longhorn fans once in the SEC.
No, they're not fun.
Yeah,
I did a podcast.
That
with
was absolutely
guy.
an instance. It was absolutely an instance from me where it's an SEC thing.
I did a podcast with a guy for LSU, and man, the Texas fans that just came in and bombarded us. It's like, man, this has nothing to do with Texas. Yet we're sitting here getting taken over. They are a delight to deal with. Let me tell you.
All right, guys, if you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. Let's scroll through a bunch of these, and it's our buddy Kaysen Acock. He says defensive line doesn't seem aggressive enough. How much do you attribute that to them not having their position coach? When does he expect to return? Also, has Quincy Wiggins seen the field yet? Yeah, well, there's a lot there. Kaysen, he did, but he came in after Deshaun Womack and Jackson Howard hit the field first. And then he came in and he was next to Fitzgerald West at the end of the game. So Quincy obviously still has a ways to go, and look, he didn't start playing organized football till his junior year of high school. He was primarily a basketball player. Without a doubt, look, I'm not going to throw stones at any analyst who's been promoted to take over for Jimmy Lindsay, but that hurts. That you can't. I don't believe that you can poo-poo that away or say that that's not a factor, partially in what we've seen so far with the LSU defense. I
agree. And one of the things that stood out to me
by the way, any updates on him?
One of the things that stood out to me about the way the defensive line played, I was keeping a very close eye on Mason Smith playing defensive tackle tonight. The talent is there. He's got the size. He's got, everything that we drool over the last 3 years. It's there.
And one of their big runs was him overrunning a play.
That's what I was about to say. One of their big interior runs was a counter tray where he's unblocked. And anybody who's played defensive tackle knows if you're unblocked, the first thing you do is chop your feet, get your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, because they're probably about to play your ass. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And they did. He ran right upfield, right to the quarterback, did exactly what they wanted an undisciplined football player to do, and they took advantage of it for a big run because you took yourself out of the play. I mean, you're an unblocked interior player, and they're running right where you were. So very undisciplined football from Mason Smith tonight. He had one tackle in his return. There'll be plenty of film, plenty of coachable moments.
Trayvon Lawrence, shout out to the channel. Appreciate all the hard work y'all put into the channel. Glad you're enjoying it, Trayvon. And, It's we've already got Nussmeyer up there post game, Brian Kelly post game, and of course on TigerBait we've got all of our content on the front page of TigerBait, an instant analysis feature from Brian Lazar, which is a premium on the premium side. So if you're not already a subscriber to TigerBait.com, hit that subscription button over on TigerBait and try us out for $1. And we're going to have a lot of recruiting. We're going to be working the phones all day tomorrow. Basketball recruiting tomorrow, football recruiting. Saw a lot of recruits at the end of the game down on the field to make their way in the locker room, and a few guys that I didn't know that were coming and a few guys that I need to do some research on. So had a unique group of guys down there on the field waiting to get in the postgame locker room as a part of their unofficial recruiting visits. Glad you're enjoying it, and thanks for the nice comment. Kurt Carpenter, it was disappointing to watch the DBs playing 10 yards off what is going on. They were trying to do some unique things. We were seeing Denver Harris at times line up in press, and there's some zone and mixing the defensive fronts and different ways that they were lining up Harold Perkins. A lot of linebackers play tonight. Everybody played tonight. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Lee. We've talked about Quincy Wiggins. Yeah, Jordan Jefferson. I am going to.
There's so many Jeffersons that have come through this program at this point. It's impossible.
I will never call him Ricky. The J's is what's going to get me.
About the DBs, one thing that stood out to me, specifically that corner spot, it's clear to me that coaches believe your most talented corners are Ashton Stamps and Denver Harris. They gave Denver Harris the start, even though he's got some things to work on. And you know what I noticed? They ran him a lot of plays where he had no safety help over the top. They wanted Denver Harris on an island tonight. And of course, he got beat on a touchdown early in the game, first drive, where it was just an incredible catch by the receiver. But at the same time, I mean, we're talking about an FCS squad. You're 5-star all-world corner. You're not supposed to have that play go up on you. But overall, he bounced back and had a solid game. And Ashton Stamps played until the final drive. They really like Ashton Stamps, and I was surprised to see him out there with mostly third teamers at that point. But they want him to get his reps. They think very highly of him, apparently.
Well, your leading tacklers tonight were Zai Alexander and Wes Weeks, both with 6. Yeah. Major Burns, Andre Sam, and Greg Penn III. All three of those guys had 5. Mm-hmm. And Andre Sam led the team in solo. No, he was second with solos at 4. Zai Alexander had 5 solo tackles. So, and
it's a bit of a weird.
Zai Alexander probably had a decent night because he also had 2 pass breakups.
Yeah,
a lot of freshmen. I like what I see out of Jeremiah Hughes out there, and also on special teams. I think I want to see how he's going to grow in the next year.
Yeah, I'd say the thing that was the biggest disappointment for me looking at the defense was how quiet a night. You had 3 starters working in new to the rotation. You had Mason Smith, you had Harold Perkins in a new position, and then you had Denver Harris out there. Those are 3 guys I had my eyes on because they're all starting in new positions. And Harold Perkins had 1 tackle. He was a non-factor again tonight. Mason Smith, 1 tackle, non-factor, non-disciplined game. And then Denver Harris, he had 1 pass breakup, no tackles. So very, very quiet night for those 3 guys working in new positions.
All right, guys, let's get some bills paid. Let's hear from Koalo and one of our other sponsors of tonight's show. Koala Insulation. All right, guys, the team of Quality Insulation of Baton Rouge are your residential commercial energy efficiency experts. From bat insulation to blown-in spray foam to air sealing and attic ventilation, Koala looks at each project as a unique problem to be solved and can offer several strategies to help you stay more comfortable and save money on energy bills all year long. The approaches Koala provides can also help reduce airborne allergens, condensation issues, wear and tear on your HVAC system, and even lengthen the life of your roof shingles. Koala has the capacity to tackle large commercial, building spray foam applications, and new construction projects while being available to help everyday homeowners get some relief from South Louisiana's extreme weather. As an added bonus, many of Koala's products qualify for federal income tax credits. So give Koala a call today at 225-457-1001 to schedule your free energy efficiency assessment, and tell them that you heard about them on TigerBait.com, and you'll get 7% off on your project. We really appreciate them being a part of the TigerBait family, as well as our dear friend Kenny Haynes. And let's hear from Kenny.
Kenny Haynes is a proud 1989 graduate of LSU Law School with a passion for justice. Kenny stands out as the only lawyer in the state, board certified in both appellate practice and family law. Drawing from 34 years of trial experience, Kenny has navigated the most complex aspects of real people's lives. If you need help in Northwest Louisiana with a family issue, legal issue, or a highly skilled trial attorney, call Kenny, 318-222-2100. And speaking of winning, Kenny would like to recognize our 2023 national champions and congratulate coaches Kim Mulkey and Jay Johnson. Go Tigers!
All right. Kenny is the unofficial official lawyer of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. And he's one of our best. So, all right, guys, let's dive right into some more of these comments tonight. Here, where is that? Man, there was one up there, and it just reset on me.
I hate
Hey,
it.
Mike, does Bama drop out of the top 10? Auburn is struggling, and Ole Miss struggled against Tulane without Pratt. I don't think Bama does. Do you?
Well, it's one of those things I got to look at,
They'll be right there on
the
the
top
back
25. So
Yeah.
I could look at it and we'll see. I mean, they'll be close. It'll be like 12, 13, something like that.
The drop off for Saban has been delicious, says Music. I'm telling you, man, with this NIL stuff and the transfer portal and losing a game like this, for Saban to lose a game like this at home, it's September, and you look at the rest of the schedule, and you're like, okay, that's one loss. Where's he heading? Is he heading to a 3-loss season?
Let me ask you this. It seems to me that the NIL era of college football, there's a bit of a shift of power going on. And we're seeing a lot of change right now. Florida State's up big after having been down for a while. Michigan's up big after being down. Looks like even maybe have passed up Ohio State. We will see.
Well, the biggest one of all is what we've seen at Colorado. That is absolutely insane.
I mean, that's massive. No doubt.
I'm not discounting, I'm not going to discount TCU. Nebraska's been a problem child for decades. They can't get
Texas
right.
Trending up, Tennessee trending up.
That said, you don't get beat like that, both those teams, by Colorado, a team that with all those new players, many of them didn't participate in spring football. And what Deion Sanders and that staff is doing in Colorado is amazing to me. I've watched both their games from beginning to end, and it's disciplined football. They're well coached. I don't know what the end of the final record's going to be, but there's a lot of people for Colorado Buffalo fans to be excited about, without a doubt.
No doubt. And that's a team that I thought coming into the season we were talking about 7 or 8 wins. I think we might be talking about 8, 9,
I think that's crazy.
Maybe even 10 wins this year.
I would have put the under at 3 or 4.
Well, the over-under was 3.5, which I thought that was ridiculous. I was like, man, they brought in Travis Hunter.
I think that's right.
Not anymore. Right, not anymore. They're about to blow 4. I mean, they're already at 2. But I think one thing's for certain: the next 10 years of college football are going to look drastically different from the previous 10 years of college football, both in who is successful and how it goes down.
Beginner to expert pro HVAC. Major Burns sucks like, oh boy. What do you think about Cooks and Steeples? Man, I'm always hesitant to really get after coaches because I tend to think the staff that Brian Kelly has, look, he made a move last year when a special teams coach did measure up, and he will not hesitate to make a move. But there's a Jims and Joe's problem. It's a major Jims and Joe's problem. And so they've got to get that fixed. BGS Goat, do you think Zalance Hurd starts next week? I think it's getting close.
I think that's
he might.
A matter of when, not if. Hunt Palmer asked me this same exact question on his show, and I think that's a tall order to ask for the true freshman. But they clearly want to do it because they worked him in very early. I believe it was like the third or fourth drive where they worked him in. I think Emory Jones is more of a natural guard than tackle, and the weakness of your offensive line is that interior line right now. So getting a guy like Emory Jones on the interior, big plus. So I think if you really want to compete at a national level, you got to shore that up because right now LSU's offensive line isn't ready to compete at a national level, as we saw last week.
And do they do a similar rotation next week? Do you give a guy like Hurd his first start on the road in Starkville?
I believe.
I'd like to know how he grades out.
I believe that you either start him or you don't play him until the game is in hand. That's my opinion.
All right, guys, let me music BK not letting Nuts throw much.
That's not true.
I think part of that tonight was, well, yeah, he did, but when they got
through 6 times,
when you got to a certain score, it's like, look, man, just run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you're up, 56-0, and I mean, he got in the game up. I'm sorry, 56-10. He got in the game 42-10, and he let him throw it around.
Most lopsided score in over 30 years.
I mean, the other thing is, like, his first pass was good for 29 yards, and then you're in scoring position. They clearly wanted to get him some work tonight, and they let him take some downfield strikes, whereas most of the time when you're up 30-plus points in a blowout, you're not going to let the backup quarterback take shots downfield, but they clearly wanted to get some reps for him. I was actually very happy about the action they let him get.
RMTJR 237. Mason Smith needs to learn some technique. He's all bull rush and nothing more. And see, I think, I think unfortunately for Mason was because he had the freak injury to start on the first drive of the first game last year. Part of that growth that's a part of that, really ideally would have happened last year, and he would be on some of that. And now he's without a defensive line coach. Yes, they've got one that's plugged in. But I want to see more of Mason against real competition, because look, there's a whole lot of talk about what he is and what he's capable of, and what round he's going to go in the NFL draft and this and that. And I know there's a lot of promise there. He's got the size and the athleticism, but we haven't seen it. We saw it a little bit his freshman year, and that's it. So
20 career tackles now in 11 games. 20 career tackles. So he needs reps.
Trucking with Casper. This secondary is so bad it's almost pathetic. It really is, Casper. This is the worst defense I've seen at LSU. It's one of the 4 worst defenses I've seen in the last 30 years at LSU.
Well, hold up now.
2008, 2020, 2021, and this one.
Yeah, it does not look like a good defense out there, and that's unfortunate. I don't know that this offense is quite the offense that's going to be able to hang in big shootouts like that 2013 offense was, or 2019.
Fire 3449 says, hit the like button. Thank you for that. Absolutely. If you're enjoying the show, please do us a favor. Hit that like button. It helps us with that YouTube algorithm.
Yep.
And Cortland Jacob agrees with what I was saying earlier in the show, wanted Texas to lose more. Yeah, that's the one case where I'm like, yeah, I'm a pull for Bama in this one. No other time.
Yeah, so
You-
I'm of the opinion.
if you don't have any inkling of what's coming your way with these Texas fans, just wait. You're gonna
I
get
I will root for Nick Saban and Bama when they play Al Qaeda. That's how I feel about that.
yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, James Wade. Wanted to see Miss Pimpton in the red zone. I want to see some more of him getting involved, but he caught one tonight, and what was the other one? I mean, he had so many guys getting involved.
By the way, he got open on the sideline.
Mark Way had got his first reception, and so, but it was only 1 for 1 yard. But
yeah,
Chris Hilton with a big night, averaging 26 and a half yards a reception, and there you go. Shelton Sampson with some drops.
He ran a hitch and go on the sideline, wide open. Jane Daniels missed him, so that was it was nice to see him run a good route, but they did not find him on that.
All right. The Perkins PBU kind of felt like the bright side of the defense tonight.
Made a good play, no doubt about that. Thing is about Perkins is he's having a quiet season so far, but you can see the athleticism and talent still on display. I really do think offenses are scheming around him at this point.
Big Honus Kelly, I have a major problem with the DBs not getting their head around. Well, they teach that in college. You can face guard in college. You can't do it in the NFL. No, Quincy Wiggins isn't hurt unless something happened that I saw late in the game. But
he played. He was in there.
He did play. Yeah. LSU man 38. DiNardo's last 2 years were the worst defenses I ever saw.
Ooh, Lou Tepper.
That was bad.
Oh yeah, Lou. What was the book you wrote? It was like oh man, something like The Art of Football or something like that. He made up his own defense and kept on going out there. This is the world's most complicated defense. The players just can't learn it. Oh man, throwing people under the bus. Those were some dark times. I think if DiNardo had done away with Tepper earlier, he might have been able to keep his job a little longer because DiNardo did some good things during his time here.
Complete linebacking.
There we go.
He had his famous drop linebacker. Thanks for that, LSU man 38. I probably was not remembering how bad those 2 years were. I remember 2008 with Doug Mallory and Pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously COVID year, and then the last year of Orgeron.
2021. Which hold up. The 2021 defense had its moments. I think that this defense will eventually be better than the 2021 and the 2020, but I don't know. It does seem like it's a drop off from last year, which is a little surprising.
All right, man. You want to talk about our sponsor that's got artwork behind the two of us?
Well, of course I would. Let me see if I can make myself a little bit bigger here so y'all can see the painting behind me. That's not it. There we go. As y'all can see behind me is the Perfection piece and the Tiger Stadium piece brought to you by Spectre Art. Of course, the link is in the description of this video. Spectre Sports Art, featuring his newest painting, the legendary 7, which features Dylan Cruz. I'm going to show you here with his golden spikes. You can see the attention to detail on this artwork. He's got the puzzle piece on his sleeve, the golden cleats, the fireworks from the championship celebration. The guy does not miss when it comes to detail on his artwork. It's guaranteed to catch the attention of people who come into your man cave or wherever you want to hang it in your house. The cool thing I find about that painting and the Joe Burrow one here, which the Smokin' Joe, y'all remember this one from 2019, one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever laid eyes on personally.
That's the one over my left shoulder.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's his best-selling piece he's ever done. Arguably the coolest moment in LSU sports history. Joe Burrow smoking a cigar after the championship.
Since I've had that one in my house, I've had 4 people wanting to buy that one when we're done after the season.
And by the way, a lot of people did the Smoking Joe, and none of them really got it as good as Jordan did there. So it's really good stuff. Joe's family, his parents, have this exact portrait hanging in their living room. Dylan Cruz family bought the Dylan Cruz one. So that's the thing I think is always cool about this is the athletes in the artwork are buying the artwork and hanging it in their house. So you can have the same artwork that the athletes themselves have themselves. In addition to the Smoke and Joe he did that y'all recall from 2020, he's followed up with 4 incredible pieces. It's on the Bayou collection. You can go to spectersportsart.com, look up the Bayou collection when you're there. You've got Burrow and Coach O behind me. That one's named Perfection. Shout out myself. I came up with the name. You've got the Tiger Stadium, Drew Brees. You've got the Dylan Cruz one. And of course, he's got a Tommy Tanks coming out soon. So make sure to visit the link in the description of this video to check out the entire Bayou collection. Make sure to use the exclusive code TigerBait10 at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. And remember, when you use that promo code, you're letting our sponsors know that our shows, our advertising are working, and you are supporting TigerBait.com. So make sure to go check out Burrow, Perfection, Coach O, Drew Brees, The Saint, and all the Death Valley good pieces using the link in the description of this video.
All right, let's get some more comments. James Wade says LSU punt return is still vomit. Yep. I feel like guys, we go out to practice, and I know what I saw at Aaron Anderson in high school. Still can get there, but I kind of feel like I was part of a major hype train, or I was a part of a big propaganda machine all off season, and then he bobbles one, and we haven't seen him since. And so I still think Aaron Anderson could be a game breaker there. But I also want to see him get more involved in space in the offense and have the opportunity to catch some balls over the middle and plant his foot and make some people miss. But I think as more of these reps go on, just as far as the offense goes, and drop balls here by multiple receivers, that it continues to happen. I think that that room, because there's so many bodies there, those coaches are going to move some guys up and say one too many drops, and some guys are going to get moved up and down that quickly. And so I think this is going to be a work in progress to see who these guys are. But I hope to see Aaron Anderson get another chance back there.
Which was surprising. By the way, Aaron Anderson wasn't on kick return either. They went with Caleb Williams and Noah Kane as the off returner. So
and because twice against Florida State, Aaron Anderson took balls out of the end zone and he shouldn't have.
And then he muffed one. So he did a bad job. And he was obviously trying to overcompensate for the muff on those kick returns. And they were just bad decisions. Very disappointing start for Aaron Anderson. And it's even more disappointing that, one game into this new season and you are right back to the stadium cheering for a walk-on fair catching a punt. That's not where you want to be as a program.
Eric DeLion just got home from game, wanted to say our defense, and I mean all 11 at every level, leaves much to be desired. If Grambling wouldn't have took out the starting quarterback, they would have gotten another 250 yards. I agree, Eric. I mean, the first thing that everybody wants to do is go talk about the cornerbacks and safeties. And why isn't Harold Perkins doing this or that? I think the defensive line is not near as good as it needs to be, or as good as we thought it was going to be. I have questions there. I have questions about recruiting at that position going forward. And this whole thing with Jimmy Lindsey and still keep him in your prayers. LSU has got to get better on the defensive line, because you look at who you're going to lose at the end of this year. And what's coming back next year. And I'm looking at what's in Louisiana for this class and the next class. And you're getting negative recruits. So if you don't have those guys in Louisiana, then you need a couple of interior defensive linemen, and you've got to go out of state and get them. Well, who do you tell me who their future defensive line coach is going to be? They're going to keep asking that question, and opposing coaches are going to use that against you. To me, that is when you start talking about not only this year, but also going forward in recruiting, defensive line is really, I think a lot of LSU fans are rightfully nervous.
And worth noting also, we were also talking about how shuffling up, you moved John Janik, who was your special teams coordinator, to coaching the defensive line now that Lindsey's out. You also moved John Janik away from special teams, and now Bob Diaco is filling in as your special teams coordinator. So some of these struggles we've seen with returners games, you have to wonder if that shuffling is affecting both special teams and your defensive line.
I think it's kind of what we're talking about, Trugging with Casper. What do you think is the reason behind how bad the defense is?
Well, you lost both your defensive ends last year who played very serviceable, and you clearly have not replaced that production. And you lost basically all your corners from last year, and you certainly haven't replaced that production. Although Zy Alexander has been serviceable, he's not been good enough. And that next cornerback spot, they are begging any of these corners to step up and claim that role. Denver Harris got the start tonight. Deuce Chestnut got it last week, and he just got completely out physicaled by Florida State. So I think they were looking for guys with bigger bodies and longer reach to step up and own that role. None of them did it, and then they gave Ashton Stamps a look, which Ashton Stamps looked good for the most part tonight. However, in the second half, he got absolutely roasted on a route down the sideline, but their quarterback just did not have the arm to get it to him. So they are begging a second corner to step up.
Abby Celestine has a comment that, Abby, you're not the only one who's been saying this or whispering it under their breath, or people thinking if Baylor makes a move at some point in the future that Aranda would be out there, and could you get him back?
Usually the stars don't align for this kind of stuff. I'm just saying, but I think if you can get him back, even as like a linebackers coach, anything, just get him in the building. That'd be great.
LSU's but I will say this, the bottom line, it's a Jim's and Joe's problem. It absolutely is. I can't imagine what LSU would be without Wingo.
Yeah. Well, he's been a beast.
Jacobian gets it done at times. There's a whole lot of questions there. H-Town Creole just faced an LSU family. Beating Bama last season gave us false hope. This team lost 4 games last season and was an under 500 team the 2 previous seasons. They are still rebuilding. They are
not there. I'm not at a 4-loss season yet. Let's put it like this. Auburn, not looking great at California right now. We see how they're struggling with their quarterback spot. Bama lost by 2 scores to Texas tonight, so there's hope that you can beat Bama. Ole Miss was on the ropes against Tulane tonight. Texas A&M gets absolutely throttled by Miami. Arkansas struggled against Kent State. I mean, Florida looks like a dumpster fire this year. I think there's hope that LSU could do very well.
I will say this. You get that right side of that offensive line solidified and figured out. And if it ends up being Hurd at right tackle and Emory Jones at right guard, and that comes together in a couple of weeks with the receivers, you get that figured out, and you get your right rotation, and the guys that aren't going to drop balls at crucial times, and a freshman running back like Caleb Jackson along with Diggs. I think this offense can be as powerful as any in the country, and you're going to need them to be, because you're going to need to score a lot of points. Because I don't know if this defense can come together. They're going to have their moments, but I think they're going to give up yards. And they're going to give up points.
I think we need to see more of Jaden Daniels doing what he did tonight. He attacked downfield very well. Last week, he did not do that very well. So if he plays like he played tonight, he got a chance. That being said, this is the kind of game where Jaden Daniels historically does incredibly well against much lesser competition. He's very good at finding wide open receivers and getting it to them accurately enough. I'd like to see him improve on getting it to tightly contested receivers and taking those shots and being more comfortable in the accuracy of his arm downfield, because he is an accurate thrower. I just think he lacks that confidence at times.
James Wade, Savion Jones hype was hilarious. And I'm one of those guys. I'm the guy.
It's me.
I'm the guy.
I'm the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to run from it. I fessed up. Is he too heavy? 290? Did that slow him up? Brian Lazar sitting next to me in the press box saying how slow he thinks the defensive front looks. Is 290 the right weight for him, or is he better off at 275? I don't know what the answers are there.
You know what stands out is that Savion Jones is beating his blocker. He's just not closing in and getting the job done on pass rush.
Look at those, but look at these guys. I mean, look at Savion. Look at LSU's edge rushers physically. There's a more impressive look. So is it an all-airport team? Is that what they are? And that's the end of it?
What's all airport team? That one's going above my head.
Yeah, they look good in the airport.
Okay, I see what you mean. So looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. That's the analogy I was going with. And yeah, so far, absolutely, that's what we're dealing with on the defensive line. Except for Mekhi Wingo, who looks like Jane and plays like Tarzan.
Yeah. Sage Ryan hype was even more egregious, James Wade says.
He was hyped up coming out of high school. I don't think anybody in the media has been hyping
By the way,
him
I
up
like
for a while.
James Wade shades. Those are cool. Those are pretty cool looking.
Yeah, James Wade,
in his
good guy,
avatar.
man. Always commenting on the show. I appreciate your support, man.
Absolutely. Harmon Allen, does A&M go down after Texas and Oklahoma enter the SEC with LSU dipping in the Houston area? Has A&M reached their peak? I tell you what, though, I do think Wegman is a darn good quarterback. I think they're going to take their lumps. They're going to lose some, and Jimbo's going to be in trouble, and Aggie fans are going to be upset. But I can also see them putting together some games where they laid a wood to somebody. You know, there's some talent there. I mean, you know what they did to LSU last year, but we'll see. Preston, JD5 will not push the ball downfield against Mississippi State.
Hey.
It's just not in his DNA.
Maybe he won't. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying he needs to. Get the difference.
Funny people crapping on all special teams simply because of punt returns. You aren't supposed to be able to return kicks, and they need just fair catch. Yeah, I'm not even talking about kick returns. Other than Aaron Anderson pulling those two out of the end zone against Florida State, it's the punt returns that matter.
True.
You know, but every now and then, if you're down multiple scores at the end of a game and you need to make something happen, sometimes you make that. Sometimes you do bring it out in the hopes of making something happen. DJ, let's bring Coach O back as a defensive line coach. Yeah, so I saw someone had that earlier in the show about how isn't he still getting paid and under contract?
Yeah. Technically, they could call him in, but I think Brian Kelly would rather roll over in his grave.
I will say this. I think Brian Kelly, he's such a secure guy. I could see it. I think while most kids would laugh at it, I think Brian Kelly might be more run through the possibilities of it than anybody else, just because he's not that type of guy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna laugh
but
that
that's
one
not.
off.
But that's
There's
not.
just
happening.
no way.
It's not happening.
When was the last time a college football coach at a Power 5 program hired his predecessor as an assistant coach. I'd be shocked if that's ever happened.
I mean, I'm still, have some fondness for Jerry DiNardo and the Bring Back the Magic. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
we're now 23 years since the DiNardo era. And I'm still wondering, when is Jerry DiNardo going to come to a game and be, in between quarters, wave to the crowd. Yeah. And, it's like,
which, by the way, I have a theory that he did it. He did bring back the Magic, because if you think about that fence around the state of Louisiana, it started to be built with Jerry DiNardo. He was the guy who got guys like Kevin Falk to come play for LSU. Before that,
DiNardo and Kevin Falk.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He got these guys.
The most important recruit in LSU history.
It absolutely turned the tide of this program, because it used to be the big name guys were going to Miami. They were going to Florida State. They were leaving the state and going elsewhere. And until DiNardo started to change that culture.
You must be reading some books, because what were you, 2 years old?
Hold up, man. Hold up now. Hold up. I'm in my 30s now, dog. I was there. I remember it.
Right.
But anyways. Don't worry about how old I was. I remember what a big deal.
You were still 3 hours in the class and putting down the mat and taking a nap. Okay.
Okay. But the shift in culture that DiNardo instilled is what elevated LSU into an elite program, because the players in state are good enough to make LSU an elite job if you keep them home. He did it. Nick Saban saw that, came in, had the 01 recruiting class, which is the best recruiting class in school history, won the championship, and the rest is history. That's why LSU is a top 5 job now, because DiNardo brought back the Magic, baby. How old were you when DiNardo was hired, Mike? Let's talk about that.
I was mid-20s.
There you go. You were basically a baby yourself.
I was there at Pete's on Johnson Street when Kevin Falk made his announcement.
Oh, really? Were you working for TigerBait at the time? Like, was the website up and rolling?
I started it the next year, but I was on the radio in Lafayette.
Wait, was that Mike the Tiger? Was that those days?
That's it.
Oh yeah, Mike the Tiger.
All right, guys, let's here, you want to pull some up? You see any questions you got on there that you need to get up? That you like?
Well, I like this one in particular. Nick also wanted Milroe. How is that working out? Watching that game with Alabama, he is so bad, and I just don't understand how he cannot find a quarterback. Again, he is a big reason why I say LSU absolutely has hope of going 11-1. Not saying they do, but I'm saying everybody on the schedule is beatable. There is no staunch task ahead of you, and really is the first time since 2007 there's no daunting task on your schedule where you're going to be a huge dog, where you feel like you don't have any chance of winning, or if you beat them, you're beating one of the best teams in the country. It's for the first time since then. It seems more manageable.
Guys, get over to Alumni Hall. You want to show your LSU Tiger pride? Alumni Hall is your ultimate shopping experience. The best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family. Nike Golf, Champion, Columbia, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, Hatch, Yeti gifts and accessories. LSU students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in-store every day, and you can earn cash back with their Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in Perkins Row, or anytime at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, where Tiger fans shop. And when you go visit their spectacular store in Perkins Row, please tell them that you heard about them on TigerBait.com. And they're adding new stuff every day. They've got some fantastic new sweatshirts and stuff coming in, and hopefully we get a cold front soon. I am, like a lot of folks, absolutely ready for sweatshirt weather. Carmen out, I'm enjoying this. Last year at this time, unbeknownst to us, we were griping and went on to win the West. This is still a rebuilding year. Does this season have the same type of trajectory as last season is the question. Does it do the exact same thing? An opening loss to Florida State, pile up a bunch of wins. I was the guy in the offseason saying LSU is going to go to Alabama and win and beat Nick Saban 2 years in a row. I'm still not backing off that, but it's getting a little nervous despite what we saw tonight. Yeah. But
I mean, LSU has its issues.
Big time issues on defense. This is really I think they're just going to continue to move guys and personnel around and look, Matt House is a damn good football coach, and I think he's going to get it figured out.
We'll see, man. It seems like there's just not much energy being played.
But you're going to need the offense needs to be a juggernaut, and it needs to have the goal of scoring, in the 40s every Saturday night. Somebody got to be the bad guy. People love to point the finger when you lose, says Mars 512. Is that Barack Obama with a grill?
That is Barack Obama with a grill. Yeah.
There you go. James Wade, Coach Prime couldn't keep Jawan Johnson from the boot up, but okay. Yeah, I've got an interview with Jawan. Tyler Harden caught up with him last night. I've got video footage from his game against Woodlawn, and we've got a lot of recruiting coming your way in the next few days.
By the way, shout out to my father-in-law, which if you know me, you know my show. My father-in-law used to be the radio guy for Acadiana High alumni, all that good stuff. He put on his social media, he was talking about how you want to know who the real number one player in the state is. Go look at Jawan Johnson, who had 8 touchdowns against Acadiana and Dominic McKinley. And that's coming from an Acadiana. That's coming from the biggest Acadiana homer you will find.
Well, he's going to come to LSU and be a corner, and I think he can be fantastic. I went and filmed Deshaun McBride at Denham hosting Glen Oaks Thursday night, and if you saw my tweet on him, and of course, I went and scouted him in the spring, and I saw him at the game tonight. He was there. That kid's a beast. Physically, he's as physically imposing and mature body-wise as any LSU DB on the roster right now. And if he can come in and learn the system, he's going to be fantastic. Can come up and hit you. He can tackle in space. But I was laughing. I was talking to Chessa and Jacques because they were filming Thursday night next to me, and I'm like, this is kind of reminding me of when I was filming Derek Stingley, where of course, they're filming different than I am. I'm ISOing him, and there's only so many clips that you're going to get out of a DB in high school because they're not throwing in his direction.
Yeah. I remember Derek Stingley was so boring to watch.
Yeah, but Derek Stingley's highlights were him on in the return game and when they'd line him up on offense.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a beast. Trust me. I think he's underrated. I think one network has him just inside their national 100. I think he should be in everybody's national 100, and I can argue he's a top 50.
Do you think he's knocking on the door of a 5-star player? In your evaluation, I'm not talking about.
I will say this. Who is the consensus number one player in the state of Louisiana?
Dominic McKinley.
No, he's not.
Well, that's the consensus. Yes.
So who would be next? Tradez?
Yeah, Tradez, the tight end from whatchamacallit, Westphal.
And so you're going to do a tight end. How often is anybody going to put a safety as the number one player in the state, right? That's the only thing I think is holding him back. But do I think he's an elite guy? I think he's right there in the discussion where he's at the highest 4-star rating at a decibel point, and you're making arguments if he could be a 5-star somewhere. I'm going to film him a few more times this year, but I think he's that good. All right, guys, let me scroll down here. James Wade, Sage can play at LSU. He can guard or tackle. Guard the water and tackle anyone who gets close to it. Man, Wade's throwing darts tonight. No, he's throwing hatchets.
Yeah. He's probably tossing claymores.
David Jameson, when is Terry Bussey committing, Mike? That's an LSU Texas A&M battle. LSU certainly inserted themselves into that one pretty darn good in the last 4 to 6 weeks, or maybe a little bit longer than that. I hope to have something more on that. I was talking to Jason Howell about him a little over a week ago, and A&M folks are getting darn nervous about LSU in that one right now. And that's another kid who can help LSU's defensive backfield. Cortland Jacob, Jaden isn't really a scrambler. He's a north-south runner.
I actually was thinking about this when I was putting together my post-game notes. Is I do partially wish that Jaden Daniels would use his feet to buy time and look downfield. He doesn't really do that. When he starts taking off to run, he's looking to gain yardage, and I really do wish he would be a scrambler, like you're saying. I think that would help with him being a downfield passer, is if he could get a play to break down, buy some time, and then let a guy just break wide open and hit him. It's one of the frustrating things about Jaden.
Guys, Drip IV, been struggling to lose weight. Maybe you've heard of weight loss injections from a friend or a family member. This is your sign to check it out. Drip IV offers medically assisted weight loss with semaglutide or semaglutide. That's the correct pronunciation. Semaglutide at both their Baton Rouge and Lafayette locations. Call them to book your consultation. They would love to speak with you. Call them at 225-256-3634 Monday through Friday. Walk-ins are always welcome. If you need IV services for dehydration, they've got all that for you, both Baton Rouge and Lafayette locations. In Lafayette, next to Sushi Yama and Iverstein's and Perkins Crossing on the corner of Perkins and Essen, and a super convenient spot. And they always, like I said, welcome walk-ins. Please tell them you heard about them on TigerBait, and they'll give you 10% off your first IV drip. But that semaglutide is that weight loss blood sugar deal that a lot of you know about. It's the compound version, and they're doing it right. And man, I've got I know at least 8 friends who've lost major weight using that stuff, and it works. Give them a call. All right. Anything you want to add tonight, Preston?
Yeah, it's nice to see LSU bounce back and get a win. Plenty of concerns for this defense, some concerns for this offense. I think this team has a chance, though, to do something special. We will see.
All right, guys. Like you said, hit that subscribe button and notification bell on the way out. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. TigerBait.com. We've got everything on the front page right now, including Lazar's instant analysis. A lot of free stuff. We're going to be making phone calls all day tomorrow for all the recruits that were there in 3 sports that were on the sideline. We're going to be working overtime tomorrow and through Monday and Tuesday as well. And, of course, a big one next Saturday in Starkville, 11 a.m. kickoff. And so our post-game show next week will probably, I guess, be around 3:30 or so. And so got a lot for you on TigerBait.com. And thanks to all you guys tuning in. Thanks, Preston.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys. Good night.